I have been warned that the same fate awaits anyone who tries to call towards any kind of reform or rectification in the Muslim Ummah in general and within the Shia sect in particular. Wahhabis generally have a very bad reputation in this Ummah for being intolerant and very judgmental. But actually, there is a Wahhabi that resides in every sectarian follower of a sect. And you just have to open a discussion on any reform-related topic inside that sect to see the ugly face of sectarian intolerance. The scholarly establishment in any and every deviant sect is never above gagging people, stifling freedom of speech and expression, freedom of conscience, suppressing evidence, intimidating potential whistleblowers, and resorting to other underhanded and duplicitous tactics to obfuscate the truth and prevent it from ever coming out and becoming clear to the public. Many of my friends and well-wishers have reached out to me, warning me of the fact that there is so much narrow-mindedness and intolerance in our own communities for reformist perspectives that anyone who even dares to present any reform-related research is immediately banned from public speaking, labeled a deviant, and in fact, in most of the major and famous sects of the Muslim Ummah, the establishment and its stooges have developed an interesting defense tactic, which is to label any potential reformer with the label of their worst ideological or sectarian enemies and opponents. So, for instance, anyone who tries to highlight the mistakes that have been made within Sunnism is immediately labeled a Rafidi Shia. How convenient. The same holds true for anyone who tries to critique Wahhabism or the Salafi methodology. Interestingly, anyone who tries to critique Wahhabism or Salafi methodology is also labeled as a Rafidi, even though he may not be a Shia, he may have no sympathy for the Shia. He may be just trying to reform Wahhabism and making it a little bit more moderate, but they will label him invariably as a Rafidi Shia to turn people away from him. And sadly, but interestingly, things are not too different on the Shia side either. Anyone who tries to raise any degree of awareness about the deviations that have crept into Shiaism over the centuries, due to various political, social, economic, and cultural reasons, is immediately branded a Wahhabi or a Salafi, because the Salafis are the diametric opposite of the Shias. The surest way of turning people away from a person within the Shia community is to label him as a Wahhabi or a Salafi or some other derogatory label of that sort. Derogatory in the sense that it is considered to be an insult to be labeled as such within the Shia community. So this is a very convenient, unwritten agreement operating between the different opposing sects. If anyone in our sect challenges any of our inherited beliefs, we immediately label that person with the label of the greatest enemy sect, and when someone in that enemy sect tries to do any reform, they immediately attribute him to the sect which is most hostile to them. So this is sadly the approach that is being followed these days. In any case, this is what I've been warned of, and the fact that I'm only presenting evidence-based research does not make any difference to those who feel threatened by the truth. I have been warned that I will be labeled and may even face a lot of character assassination, and many false and slanderous claims will be made about me, as is usually the case when people are unable to come up with sound arguments to refute what you're presenting. Many will even express huge disappointment and disillusionment over this. But I take inspiration from the example of Prophet Salih alayhi salam given to us in the Quran. When he rose to reform the people and preach the truth to them, they said to him, قالوا يا صالح قد كنت فينا مرجوا قبل هذا. They said, O Salih, you were among us a man of promise before this. What has happened to you? We used to look at you with so much admiration. You were a promising individual. We had hopes and aspirations attached with you. What went wrong? What happened? Why are you all of a sudden turning against us and questioning our beliefs and practices which we cherish and which we've inherited from our forefathers before us? What's wrong with you? And why are you hell-bent on disappointing us and, depriving us of those ambitions and aspirations that we had for you? أتنهانا أن نعبد ما يعبد آباؤنا وإننا لفي شك مما تدعوننا إليه مريب أو لفي شك مما تدعونا إليه مريب. They said, why do you forbid us from worshipping that which our forefathers worshipped? Are you seriously going to do that? If you're going to do that, then, well, we are in doubt about what you are inviting us towards. And not just a normal doubt, but a very deep doubt. So yes, I do anticipate similar reactions from certain segments as well. But I have nothing more to add in response to such reactions than the beautiful words of Nabi Salih alayhi salatu wasalam in verse 63 of Surah Hud, where he says, قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ أَرَأَيْتُمْ إِن كُنْتُ عَلَى بَيِّنَةٍ مِّن رَبِّي وَآتَانِي مِنْهُ رَحْمَةً فَمَنْ يَنْصُرُنِي مِنَ اللَّهِ إِنْ عَصَيْتُهُ فَمَا تَزِيدُونَنِي غَيْرَ تَقْصِيرٍ. He says, "O my people, have you considered, if I should be upon clear evidence from my Lord, and He has given me mercy from Himself, who would protect me from Allah if I disobeyed Him? So you would not increase me in anything except loss." So the argument of Prophet Salih alayhi salam is that I don't have much of a choice. If I give societal considerations, such as the fact that you view me as a very promising person, or you see in me some kind of celebrity that you used to adore and admire, and now you're very disappointed that I'm preaching things that go against what you hold very dear. He says, all that is true, but I don't have a choice. If I give societal considerations, such as my own popularity and fame and following and fan base, precedence and preference over and above the clear evidence-based guidance that has come to me from my Lord, then I'm signing up for eternal loss, and you are further exacerbating that loss for me.